Y'all ready?
Embassy Suites. Yes.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Mr. Munford, Ms. Price, and Chair Davenport.
Here. Unless there's addition, changes, or corrections to last month's minutes, a motion to accept, please.
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Lockwood and second by Ms. Atkinson.
All right, Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
and Chair Davenport.
Yes. Before we begin our hearing tonight, I'm looking over here, nobody's over there. Our counselor, Mr. Hoy Hodges, will tell you what you have to do in order to get your request approved or denied. Mr. Hodges?
And Mr. Chairman, on each one of these applications tonight, if you would have the following items made a part of the record: the joint zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, the staff report, and any exhibits which may be attached to that staff report should also be made a part of the record. And if you would please, need to swear in Amy Scott and Rachel Hurt and recognize their qualifications as zoning administrators for the purpose of giving expert testimony tonight.
You ladies swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You see, the first two items on the agenda tonight are, well, one's a waiver and one is a variance. The same requirements are set forth for both a waiver and a variance in most part, and those are in KRS 100.243. The requested variance or the waiver will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. It will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity. It will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public. It will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. So those are findings that the board must make. In respect to a waiver, there are additional findings set forth in section 3.8.4F of the zoning ordinance, which I'm sure the staff reviewed with the applicants at the time the application was made. The remaining three items on the agenda tonight are requests for conditional use permits. And the findings are required of the board are set forth in section 3.9.5 of the zoning ordinance. The board must find that the conditional use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed, that the use will not contribute toward an overburdening of municipal services, that the use will not constitute a nuisance, and that it adequately addresses the review criteria in section 3.9.4 of the zoning ordinance, and that it's otherwise in compliance with the zoning ordinance, including any specific use standards that may apply. Now, I mentioned the review criteria in section 3.9.4. That's a set of criteria consisting of 10 items, one of which is compatibility. And that section states that the board shall not even consider the conditional use unless the applicant adequately addresses the review criteria, which in every case is going to be compatibility. So the applicant has the burden of proof of adequately addressing the item and criteria of compatibility. In order to prevail on a variance, or waiver, or conditional use permit, you need a majority vote, and that would be a vote of 3. It must be an affirmative vote. A pass vote has no force or effect. If anyone's dissatisfied with the decision rendered here tonight, you have 30 days to file an appeal, and that would go directly to Warren Circuit Court. Now, I believe that covers everything, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Our first request tonight, Stuart A. Jones has filed an application requesting a waiver of 834 square feet to allow all accessory structures to be greater in square footage. Something's not right there.
Yeah, the combination of the accessory structures are more than the primary.
Okay. Am I reading that right? Has filed an application requesting waiver of 834 square feet to allow all accessory structures. I'm sorry. to be greater in square footage than that of the primary structure on the property located at 5491 Russell Road. This property is zoned AG Agriculture. I was trying to read something into it that wasn't there. I'm sorry.
No
Go ahead.
worries. Thank you, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in August for this property located on Russellville Road. And as you mentioned, the applicant has applied for a waiver of 834 square feet to allow all accessory structures to be greater in square footage than that of the principal structure. And there is more detail on that in the staff summary on page 2, if you're interested. But with that, we'll go through the maps. The current zoning is agriculture, and the current land use is single-family residential. And then we have some property photos of the area and of the property for your consideration. If we need those, we can jump back and forth as need be. And then this is the same exhibit that's included in your staff report on page 7 that shows the proposed structure and also outlines the square footage of the existing residence and what's proposed. In our review of the application, we looked at the zoning ordinance reference from section 445 E3 and 434, which does limit the total size of accessory buildings for property of this size in the agricultural zone. That's what necessitated this waiver request that's before you this evening. In our review of the application, we did find that the proposed waiver will not alter the character of the general vicinity, as there are other properties along John D. Jones Road that have larger accessory buildings. And there's also a large commercial storage building business located adjacent to the property. Looking at page 2 and then, the bottom of page 1, moving on to page 2, we do have those waiver findings that are there for your reference. And then you'll see that the applicant supplied a small narrative as a part of their application to help and address those review criteria and findings. But with that, I think I've covered everything in the staff report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
There's a lot going on along that road there, isn't there?
There sure is.
Any questions from the board or the staff? Thank you, Rachel. Is the
Thank you.
applicant here? Applicant's here? Okay. Does the board have any questions of the applicant? Any oppositionist request? Opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the request for a waiver, docket number 2025-V19, a waiver of 834 square feet to allow all accessory structures proposed and existing to be greater in square footage than that of the principal structure. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of these waivers will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. I further find that the waivers will not violate the comprehensive plan, and the extent of waivers of the regulation is a minimum necessary to afford relief to the applicants, and the strict application of the provisions of the regulations would deprive the applicants of the reasonable use of the land or would create an unnecessary hardship on the applicants.
This is a proper motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by Mr. Lockwood.
All right, Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
and Chair Davenport.
Yes, your request has been approved, sir. Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Our next request tonight, 31W Holdings LLC, care of Ben Thornton and Jason Mills, have filed an application requesting a variance of 10 feet from the requirement that all landscape screening between the vehicle use area, VUA, and a common property line have an average of 10 feet in width on the property located at 530 US 31W bypass. This property is zoned HB Highway Business. Rachel.
Thank you, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in August for the property at 530 US 31W bypass. This is the aerial view, and as you mentioned, if we go through the maps, the property is currently zoned highway business. The current land use is commercial, and then we'll move through some photos of the property that we can reference as needed. And then we will eventually land on the site plan that details the proposed site layout and the variance that's requested. As you mentioned, the applicants are requesting a variance of 10 feet from the required 10-foot landscape buffer in order to redevelop the site and install some parking that's shown on the site plan. The zoning ordinance reference comes from section 4683A3, which requires that the average landscape buffer between a parking area and adjacent property be at least 10 feet, and they've requested a full variance of 10 feet, essentially to eliminate that requirement altogether. The variance findings are included on page 1 and 2, and then a majority of page 2 includes the supporting information provided by the applicant as a part of their request. In our review of the application, we did note a couple of items for your consideration on page 1. That is, the first is that the applicants could retain one retail tenant in the building, which requires a smaller parking standard and would not require a variance. And in lieu of providing landscaping along the southern property line, staff suggested that the applicants consider including a decorative opaque fence to provide an alternate form of screening for the proposed parking area. However, that was not implemented as a part of this request. But with that, I think I've covered everything in the staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All righty. Any questions from the staff of the board, from the board of the staff? Are the applicants here? You here? I assume you want to say something then, don't you?
Just briefly, Chair, this is kind of a unique circumstance.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair, Mr.
Excuse me.
Hodges.
Y'all know his name, don't you?
Yeah, Chris
You don't have- I
Davenport.
don't have to swear you in, but just want to get your
Okay.
name on the record. Got it, okay.
Thank you. It's a little bit of a unique request. It's a very long explanation that I provided here. Main thing, I just want to point out a couple things. As I put in that explanation, this is all kind of triggered by the redevelopment of this part of the bypass. So if I could, how would I control that?
You just got to yell at Ben to tell him to go back and forth. We're having some.
Oh, okay, perfect. Just, if you'll go back to one of those photographs, not that one, but like the frontage.
Oh, in the photo.
Yeah, like that would be fine. So, right now, if you drove past the bypass, this is what you would see on my client's property. Basically, almost everything you see there that's the black asphalt will be gone when the roadway is widened as a result of the combination of all the different parcels along this side of US 31W bypass. This building that exists is kind of really two buildings that you see here. And what my client wants to do is remove the part that's on the right. These buildings were constructed at different times. It's a little bit of a Frankenstein structure, the way it was built. And so the request would be basically where you see that's gravel. If you go back to the concept plan, that's all going to be paved. That's going to be parking area. And so what I want to point out by this picture is a couple things. One, as I mentioned in the application, this is a very old section of Bowling Green. It's a very old commercial area of Bowling Green. And really, whether it's parking or landscaping, virtually none of it complies with the current design requirements of our zoning ordinance, just because of how old it is. If you look across the common property line, that's where the fence is, you'll see no landscaping on the other property either. And you'll see that they are utilizing a vehicle use area all the way up to the parking line as well. That is why when Ms. Scott mentioned maybe putting a fence up along this property line, I'll tell the board my client will do that if the board would like to see that. Personally, I'll tell you, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put a fence up between two VUAs. I don't think that's aesthetically pleasing as just having fresh asphalt, getting rid of the gravel. I think that will be much nicer than what is there today. So I could go through the design criteria and what y'all need to show, but I think given the age of this area, this will not alter the area one iota. It will not create any type of nuisance or endanger anyone's health. And I'm happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Any question from the board of the applicant? Is any opposition to this request? I was part of the when the highway department,
One of the commissioners, I bet. Yes, sir.
they were taking the entire front of that store. In my opinion, our opinion, the three of us, it pretty well made that place useless because the way it is now, there's not very much parking in the back. The side thing there, as you're talking about, you can't park there because you can't get up and down. So,
Having represented these property owners in those cases, I wish I could have called you Mr. Davenport, but you know that's not allowed.
I thought we did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
The highway department didn't like what we did, But I
They are on a
thought,
tight budget, I believe.
I thought we did a fair job on that.
Yes, sir.
To us, it made the building basically useless.
That was our
That's the way
opinion.
we looked at
And
it,
that's,
yeah.
and we did get the right-in access point as a concession from the highway department, and we're trying to make the most of that, basically,
Yeah.
is what we're trying to do.
Anyway, I just food for thought there.
Thank
All
you.
right, no opposition, the motion, please?
I make the motion to approve the request for a variance docket number 2025-V-20, a variance of 10 feet from the requirement that all landscape screening between a vehicle use area and a common property line must be an average of 10 feet in width. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of these variances and waivers will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations.
This is proper motion.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson,
Second.
second by Mr. Lockwood.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
And Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Thank you all for coming down. Good luck to you on that. Appreciate it. Our next request tonight, Carmen and Dan Harbison of applicants and Shanty Hollow Properties LLC, care of Dan and Carmen Harbison, owner, has filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 875 Shanty Hollow Road. This property is zoned AG Agriculture. Right, y'all?
Thank you, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in August for the property outlined in red on the aerial located on Shanty Hollow Road. And the current zoning, as you mentioned, is agriculture, and the current land use is also agriculture. And we'll go through some property photos that we can reference as needed. And then we'll get to the site plan here that shows the layout of the property. And as you mentioned, the applicants have applied for a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental. This is referenced in Article 5, Section 5.1, the use table of the zoning ordinance, which requires a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on property zoned agriculture. And as you're pretty familiar with, you'll see the specific use standards for short-term rentals there at the bottom of page 1. And then if we flip over to page 2, you'll see that the applicants have supplied 5 conditions. One is that there would be a maximum of 2 rooms for rent. 2 rooms will not be individually rented. 3, there will be a maximum of 2 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. 4, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And 5, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And then below that, we have the conditional use permit findings for your reference. And if you look back at page 1, I'll just wrap up with our points to consider, and that is that we have none pending public hearing and testimony. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff and the board? All right, I see Mr. Harbison's here. Does the board have any questions of Mr. Harbison? That's way out there, Dan. Whole lot different last time you was down here. All right, any opposition to this request? Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number C, 2025C45 for a short-term rental with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which is proposed. The use will not contribute towards an overburdening of municipal utilities. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance. That the use otherwise meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Proper motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by Mr. Lockwood.
Nope.
I mean, motion by Mr. Lockwood, second by Ms. Atkinson. I'll get it, yeah.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Thank you, and good luck to you out there. Appreciate it. Our next request tonight, C&J Ventures LLC, care of Chris and Jennifer Gravel, have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 1954 Porter Pike. The property is zoned RM2, two-family residential. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on August the 19th for the property that you mentioned and is highlighted in red. Current zoning is RM2. Current land use is single-family residential, and we have some property photos for you. And then there is the supplied site plan by the applicants. And again, the applicants are requesting a CEP to operate a short-term rental. Below that is a zoning ordinance reference in Article 5, Section 5.1. A conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned RM2. Below that are the specific use standards for your reference. Looking at page 2 for the supplied conditions. Number 1, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 2, rooms will not be individually rented. Number 3, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 4, quiet hours will be from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And number 5, there'll be no signage on the property. Below that are the conditional use permit findings. Looking back at page 1 to points to consider. The Board of Adjustment should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing single-family residential uses located adjacent to the property and in the general vicinity. Board should consider the impact on permanent workforce housing availability in this part of the county if the existing single-family residence is converted into a short-term rental. The board should determine if a concentration of 4 short-term rentals within 800 feet is appropriate in this area. And lastly, a conditional use permit was approved in 2022 for a short-term rental at 1972 Porter Pike by the same applicants. That is all we have for a staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board or the staff? No? Applicants are here. We've got a few questions we want to ask you. One of you come up. We'll need to swear you in, sir. Your full name and address?
Chris Gravel, 2796 Hunts Bend Road, Bowling Green, Kentucky, 42103.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, sir?
I do.
First of all, I'm really not comfortable with the way your driveway and the parking is there. You got 3 cars. It looks to me like it's too much of a likelihood that somebody will try to back out if you got 3 cars back out on Porter Pike, and that's just not a.
There's a turnaround back closer to the road that you see where you can back in and turn around that everybody uses and pulls out on Porter Pike.
I noticed that when I left, after I backed out, I saw that turnaround. That's
Yes.
kind of why I was referring to it. It's, if you got 3 cars in there, if the car in front of, like car number 3 on your map there, car number 1 wants to leave, car number 3's got to go somewhere.
Okay.
And if
what
he
about-
pulls up in the turnaround, then the other guy can't turn around.
Makes sense, makes sense. Would there be a way we could possibly designate that area or widen that area to make additional use there? Would that work?
It would probably be a lot better.
We could do that, no problem.
How is the property currently being used?
Right now, it's being used as the Airbnb currently, short term.
And this one is pretty much right in the middle of a single-family residential area. I know it's not in Clark Circle, but it's pretty much part of it. And we have a real problem on the compatibility with the short-term rentals. Plus, you got another house that's real close to this house here, right next door, another house there, and then all the neighborhood behind it. How do you feel like this is compatible with all those single-family houses around there?
Honestly, most of the properties in that area are, especially like Clark Circle, a good portion of them are already rental. I mean, they're monthly rental. Yeah, I've talked to my neighbors. Honestly, they said they like having the short term because a lot of times it's not rented, versus having a potential monthly tenant that they may not get along with. We see a major need here for Beach Bend, for the Corvette Museum, the Corvette track. That's a lot of our tenants, and Western as well. Like I said, we've owned the house next doors and have, had a short-term rental there since December of 21. I think it was number 7, I think that was approved once the permitting started. Never had a problem, never had any issue with neighbors, never had any complaints whatsoever. You know, the ITA just bought the property going back towards Bowling Green. They're across from the Corvette track, which we're about a quarter of a mile up. You know, Corvette track owns pretty much everything up to the left side, you're getting close to these properties. You know, I know that they're pretty much all that has become in commercial use out through there, or has, you know, will be soon, I feel like, especially with the new water and sewer addition through there. But we've never really had any trouble. The way this backs up, it really doesn't. The only property I could really see it affecting would be the one to the left. I mean, if you're facing the house, because the yards on these are so deep, and they back up to the other yards that are on Clark Circle, so it's not really like they're in direct, close contact.
That's going to be 4 short-term rentals real close to each other there.
I think that's our concern. We're getting a couple of things. We now have information about the number of short-term rentals that have been approved over the past years. And obviously, when you reference yours as number 7, when applications started, now we have a very high number.
Correct.
And then we're talking a high concentration, particularly in that area. So I think that's a big concern, as well as workforce housing. We'd like to see less short-term going forward and more permanent housing options for individuals.
Correct, I can understand that. You know, one of the Airbnbs, the short-term rentals that are close there is actually on past this, and I'd say it's probably 600 feet off the road back on the river.
Yes.
So I mean, it's not really close. There is one probably 3 or 4 doors down before you get to these, I would say, but.
The one close to the river's huge.
Yes.
And we all
Yeah,
looked at
exactly.
it when it was approved. Yeah.
But like I say, I mean, honestly, I mean, what we're seeing is fact, I think, honestly, with the lack of hotel rooms being offered, and for the events that are going on in that side of town, in Bowling Green, there's really just, there's not enough properties, overnight stays for people that are coming to Bowling Green. Tourism's great, I mean, it's bringing a lot of tax dollars, and I mean, from the amount of activity that we get on ours and the other one, our friends of ours own down the street, I mean, it's every time, you know, something's major going on at Corvette Museum, or, you know, of course, they tore the one hotel down there on Corvette Drive. You know, there's a couple down there, but I mean, honestly, there's just not enough housing in Bowling Green, or for short term.
As you relate to that, that's part of our concern. That you said there's a lot of rental property in that area. Well, if that whole Clark Circle, if everybody that owns rental property in that area, if they decide, well, you know, they're doing pretty good, these short-term rentals in that Corvette place, and we can turn our short-term rental to short-term rental, and the next thing you know, that whole block could end up being overwhelmed with
Correct.
short-term
I
rentals. And then we're losing a market of rental houses that are affordable for middle income, factory workers that live in that area. It's a concern.
And we own.
That whole area could turn into short-term rental.
Right, correct.
Because once we started, and obviously, we approved 1, and now we've got 4 within 2 or 3 years. So, I mean, there's a point where somebody has to say, wait a minute, we've got too many short-term rentals in this area.
Correct.
We can't keep on doing this.
Correct.
And sooner or later, the city and the county is going to pass an ordinance working on this, but so far they haven't. But anyway, that's just a concern we have. Any
Yes,
other
sir.
questions of the applicant from the board? All right, thank you very much.
Thank
sir.
you.
Any opposition to this request? Any motion, please?
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-46 for a short-term rental. The use would impact workforce housing negatively and also have a concentration of short-term rentals in the immediate area.
Would you address the issue of compatibility in that motion?
Compatibility in, this is an area of single-family residences, so it would not be compatible with that particular area.
That's proper motion.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by Mr. Howell.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, that request has been disapproved, sir. Sorry. Our next request tonight, C&J Ventures LLC, care of Chris and Jennifer Gravel, have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on a property located at 2859 Glasgow Road. This property is zoned AG agricultural. There you are.
Thank you, Mr.
Keep
Chair.
looking the wrong way.
I know, I'm hard to see over the
That's all right.
podium here. We had a pre-application meeting on August the 19th for the property that you mentioned and is highlighted in red. The current zoning is agriculture. The current land use is single-family residential. And we have some photos for you. The area, and then this is the supplied site plan by the applicants. And again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a short-term rental. Below is the zoning ordinance reference, Article 5, Section 5.1. A conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned agriculture. Bottom of the page are the specific use standards for a short-term rental. Looking at page 2 to the supplied conditions. Maximum of, number 1, a maximum of 4 rooms for rent. Number 2, rooms will not be individually rented. Number 3, a maximum of 5 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 4, quiet hours will be from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And number 5, there will be no signage on the property. Below that are the conditional use permit findings for your reference. And looking back at page 1, 2 points to consider. The Board of Adjustment should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing single-family residential uses located adjacent to the property and in the general vicinity. The board should consider the impact on permanent workforce housing availability in this part of the county if the existing single-family residence is converted into a short-term rental. And the board should determine if a concentration of 2 short-term rentals adjacent to one another is appropriate in this area. A short-term rental was approved at 2806 Glasgow Road in March of this year. That's all we have for a staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff from the board? Mr. Weber, you want to come back up again, please? You're still sworn in, so we'll just, you heard our
Yes.
concerns on the last one, pretty much the same concerns on this one. You might want to see if a different approach to this one, or tell us what you think about
Yeah,
this one.
well, I mean, this one's, basically, it's getting out close as far as workforce concerns. I mean, it's right there close to the industrial park, what have you, which was sort of one of our thoughts, was potential executive type rental for a lot of the plants that have come in out there. It's sort of right directly across the street, across the field there from Tyson plant, is where it's located. We own all the property joining, probably about 200 acres back in there that join to the right and behind, and we've had it rezoned RS1B for moderate density residential. Like I said, basically, it's private. I don't see any negative impact on any of the neighbors or what have you as far as that goes. If it wouldn't be here, but we feel like there is a demand for it if you all saw fit.
You had that rezoned around you to RS 1D. What is that? RS?
RS1D, it's a single-family residential zone. It's a smaller lot size. It would be provided by, or served by sewer, so you could have lots as small as 5,000 square feet in that zone, although I can't go from memory, I feel like
3.8 was the
they were going to be
density.
a little bit
Yeah,
larger than that,
3.8.
but certainly not an acre.
Okay. Do you plan on developing that into a small?
Eventually, not any rush, any hurry whatsoever. Like I said, the flume here is business commercial, is what the flume is through there. You got sewer and water and what have you. But, like I said, we got that approved probably, Rachel, 2 years ago, 3 years ago probably, and we've not done anything yet. So we're not itching to do anything quickly with that.
So you think this house, there's a demand from that all the industrial factories out there for
Yes, sir.
temporary housing for people coming in and working with.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right.
What's it being used for now? It's
Also,
vacant.
we've just put it up as a short term, so.
Okay,
Actually, we bought this property because it joins the property that we've got, and really there's not any,
because it's not in real good shape.
what, the home's not?
No, the landscaping was what I
Oh,
was thinking
okay,
as far
gotcha,
as it
yeah.
goes.
I've got to get on there's a lot of landscaping there. The lady that lived there before, she had, spent numerous hours, and you know how landscaping can go quickly. So we've had it, our lawn care guy, he's worked on it some, but I'm sure it needs more.
Well, this is not in the middle of a residential area, which, that's much better. All right, any other questions of the board of the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir. Any opposition to this request? Motion, please.
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-47 for a short-term rental. The use is in single-family residence area, particularly down the road that it is along or butts against. So it's not compatible with the single-family residences in the area and also the impact on workforce housing.
Yes, proper motion.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by? Second? Second by Mr. Howell. Yeah, we haven't voted yet.
A little bit confused. The previous one that, right before we came in, Mr. Harbison's, you know, with it being an agricultural area and getting I don't understand how, I guess I'm not following as far as what you mean as far as it being a single family versus when you've got an agricultural property, agricultural use, and you've used it
It's
as
the
residential.
The land use-
concentration.
Yeah, the land use is single-family residential, whereas the land use on where Mr. Harbison was is agricultural.
Gotcha.
It's just,
Okay, okay, I didn't know it,
And
but,
it's the concentration. I think
Right.
in my mind, the big difference, when you go to Harbison's property, which is in the middle of nowhere.
yes, ma'am.
There is not a concentration of single-family immediately around, where in this case, you have some homes right down on the Glasgow Road, and then there's also several immediately off of Glasgow Road that are, again, single-family
Residential.
residences.
Okay.
So in my mind, I see a much bigger concentration of single-family in the area with this compared to
Right,
where
okay,
the annex.
okay. Thank you.
And, you know, you have
Thank you.
also that, you have to really look at two things, at the house to property zone. You're right, this was zoned agriculture, and also Harbison's was zoned agriculture. But you look at the existing land use map, Harbison's property is completely surrounded by agriculture, and on down the road, there was one single family residential, and this particular property, it's, the use is, well, there's across the road, up and down is single-family residential, the property next door is single-family
Right, okay.
residential. So it's actually, you know, the existing land use is entirely different.
And I
Even though
was
the
just
zoning
looking
itself
for-
is the same.
Right, I was just looking for clarification, I was trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
because like I said, as far as you're putting things in areas which they don't mesh was, you know, that's all, thank you for the clarification.
thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
No, I think it'd have been okay, but this one did get passed, it's 3-1, so, I mean, I'm sorry it got turned down because it's 3-1, excuse me. All righty, our next request tonight, Jamie Lynn Stewart Nose has filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 1098 Ben T. Johns Road. The property is zoned AG agricultural. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on May the 12th for the property that you mentioned, and then it's highlighted in red. The current zoning is agriculture. Current land use is single-family residential. And we do have some property photos for you. And then the applicant did supply a site plan there on the screen. And again, the applicant is requesting a CUP to operate a short-term rental. Please see staff review summary section for additional information. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And under the zoning ordinance reference, Article 5, Section 5.1, a conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned agriculture. Below that, at bottom of page 1, are the specific use standards for a short-term rental. Looking over at page 2 to the supplied conditions. Number 1, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent, only when the property owner is not occupying the property. Number 2, rooms will not be individually rented. Number 3, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 4, quiet hours will be from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Number 5, no signage on the property. And number 6, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And there are the conditional use permit findings for your reference. Looking underneath the last section there, the staff review summary, the Board of Adjustments in June of 2024 denied the application for a short-term rental at this location by the same applicant. The applicant has made changes to the conditions, now including that rooms will be for rent only when the property owner is not occupying the property, and that rooms will not be individually rented. So those are the 2 changes from the original application. Looking back at page 1, 2 points to consider. The Board of Adjustment should consider if the proposed use is appropriate in the ag zone. Board of Adjustment should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the single-family residential uses that are located adjacent to the property. And the board should consider if a concentration of 2 short-term rentals adjacent to one another is appropriate in this area. A bed and breakfast was approved at 1145 Ben T. Johns Road in September of this year, last month. So that's all we have for staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board or the staff?
I just want clarification to make sure that we're on the same page. So we've got single-family residential adjacent to, right? As far as land use, okay. Even though it's in an agriculture zone.
Correct.
Correct.
There's, yes,
Okay.
2, if we look at the existing land use across the way are 2 single-family, and then just around the curve there, another yellow, and then the yellow where the text box is, that's all single-family.
Got it. Okay. I just want to be sure.
Sure.
All right. Any other question of the applicant? I mean, of the board, of staff? Thank you. Applicant here, you the applicant? Would you step up, please? Could we get your full name and address, please?
Jamie Lynn Stewart, OS 1098, Ben T. Johns Road, Alvin, Kentucky, 42122.
Do you swear to tell the truth, ma'am?
I do.
Okay, well, this was turned down a year ago, basically. Why now?
was,
What's the difference?
Well, it was turned down a year ago because my property sat in a curve. So if you look at the map right there, if you'll go back to the so the curve, okay, the aerial view is better. Okay, this curve right here, as you're approaching, there's a driveway to the right, the curve right there, it was turned down because it was in a curve. The property that she mentioned at 1145 Ben T. Johns Road that was just approved last month shares that curve on the other side of the road.
I think that was on a road, not just a curve,
It's a
but there was a
drive.
street, a
It's
road.
a drive.
Highway going
And
through
it's
there.
not a separate road, there's a drive. I've lived out there for 25 years now. 28 years to be exact.
Well, questions from the board of the applicant?
Are you saying that it's a part, do you live in this
I do.
property?
It's my residence.
Okay, so, but you're applying for a short-term rental?
Yes, ma'am. I'm out of town a lot. I have a terminally ill father that requires 24/7, 365 care. And so I'm out of town a lot. This will not forever and ever, amen, be a short-term. And I know you don't have like a temporary permit, but, it is, I raised my kids in the house. It's my residence. It's just to be used for that while I'm away, to help ends meet. I'm not trying to,
But the driveway hadn't changed. It's still the same place. You're
no,
gonna
the
use
driveway
same-
has
you're gonna
not,
use
no,
same-
the driveway has not
Everything is
changed.
the same, except you're gonna be gone and you're just trying again, basically.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
you're saying that driveway is not used, the one that's in the curve there?
it can be, if you'll go back to where I marked on it, please. Okay, so originally the drive was a half
Yeah,
moon
okay.
drive.
Yeah.
This drive right here on the part in the curve is grown up with grass now.
Oh, that's what
The
I say,
main-
it's not used anymore.
Right, the main driveway is the one right here to the house,
Yes,
going up towards the house, as you approach the house to the right.
yes.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. Any opposition to this request? Opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-48 for a short-term rental because of the concentration of single-family residences nearby and because of, well, workforce housing, because of the area, incompatible with the immediate area of single-family residences.
Proper motion.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by, second? Second? Second by, anybody? Got to have a second.
No?
By Mr. Howell.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
No,
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Your request has been denied, ma'am. All righty. Any old business tonight? Mr. Hodges?
No, not for me.
I handed out the short-term rental thing that you gave me to everybody, and when we get a full board, we'll take a look at this again, because it's interesting what we've done on there, and
Yeah.
we can see, now we're probably close to 200, 190, I guess, after last month and this month. I had, what, 4
I
tonight?
almost ask if this could be introduced as part of the record, because I think it's real significant where we are.
Yeah, it just, I was surprised that we've approved more than we've turned down. I really, did y'all, Horton, you need to leave. We're adjourned, we'll chit chat about this. We're adjourned, thank you.